Welcome back to another Iron Faith Wrestling Instructional. Today we're going to be going over the snap down. This move is a must know. No matter what your style of wrestling is, you need to be using snap downs to make your opponent tired and to score points. We're going to start off with the 7 fundamentals of a snap down. The first thing I want to talk about is clearing your opponent's ties. So when my opponent ties up with me, in order for me to snap him to the mat, I have to get his hands off me. So if I just pull down without clearing his hands off of me, he's connected to me. His arm is connected to me, so if I pull, he actually pulls me down with him. Now this doesn't matter if he has an inside tie, he could also have a collar tie. If I try to snap here, because he's connected to me, it's very difficult to snap him off me. So a lot of times what you'll see is the snap downs actually clear his hands off me. So for example, if I'm here and he has this arm attached to me, when I go to snap, part of the technique is getting that hand off of me, okay? The only example that I could think of when you snap somebody where the clearing of the ties is not very important is if he has elbow controls. So if you have an inside tie and a collar tie and he has elbow controls, you don't have to clear the tie because his grips are underneath of you. So from this position, I can easily snap him to the mat without having to kind of chop those hands off of me. And again, the reasoning behind this is, like, if he goes thumb block, his arm's on the top of me. So when I go to pull, it actually like pulls back into my arm. But if he's on my elbow, you know, when I go to snap, there's no resistance from that tie up. So the only time you don't have to focus on clearing ties is if you fight to, you know, these inside tie-ups and he has your elbows, okay? The next thing I want to talk about when you snap somebody down is building up pressure. If I snap my opponent, but, you know, his weight is underneath his feet, you know, I don't build up any pressure, he's not going to get snapped. So what I mean by that is we're not pushing into each other right now. If I pull him down, all the weight's just going to go on his forward leg, and he's going to be able to brace the impact. What I want to do is I want to build up a lot of pressure into my opponent so he's pushing back into me. Once I feel that pressure, I know when I snap and move out of the way, he's going to fall to the floor. So we're pushing into each other. When I go to snap, he'll go right to the mat, okay? So as I'm working my snap downs, I'm looking to build up pressure. Now, when I build up pressure, I have to be careful because if I push into them, they actually have an opportunity to snap me down or even attack me. So anytime you push into your opponent, you need to do it carefully so that you don't get snapped down. So I'll show you some key things that I want you guys to focus on when you're building up pressure into your opponent. First thing is a thumb block. So if I'm pushing into my opponent and I put a thumb block on him, I'm not in much danger to be attacked because the thumb block acts as a defense. So when I push into him, you know, if he goes to attack like a shot, this thumb prevents that. But if I have like an inside tie and he goes to shoot, I might slide right off. So pressure in with a thumb block is a great way to build up pressure without putting yourself in a bad position. Another great way to build up pressure is with your forearm. So if you have a collar tie on your opponent and you're pushing into them, you want to use your forearm on his chest and his shoulder to push into him. I don't want to have my elbow up high. I want my elbow down, just like that, and I can push into him with this. So again, if he goes to shoot, my forearm can block those attacks. So when you're pushing, you know, look for these thumb blocks and look for these to push in with your forearm on a collar tie to prevent them from shooting on you while you pressure in. I'll give you an example of what not to do. Say you have an inside tie. Say you have 2 inside ties and your partner has elbow control. You know, if I start pushing in with no thumb block, see how my hands are over top, he can open up and shoot right into a shot without any resistance. So to make that a better thing or a better tie-up, if I was going to push, I would change from this to the thumb blocks. I push with thumb blocks, I pull with no thumb blocks, okay? Now, another thing you want to focus on when you're building up pressure is push off your back leg. Because if you're building up pressure into them, that means they actually have a good opportunity to snap as well. So make sure you're pushing off your back leg. I even really lift my right leg up. So when I push, there's no weight on my forward foot. It's all on my back foot. So if he goes to snap me, my right foot doesn't have so much weight that I'll fall on my face. It has really no weight, so that when he does snap, some weight will get absorbed onto this foot, and I'll be able to brace for impact. So I'll show you what I mean. If I had double inside ties and say he's going to snap me down, all right? So I build up pressure. When he goes to snap, my foot is able to brace that impact. But if I'm pushing, say, square here, and I'm driving in, and he goes to snap, I'm falling down. Or even, I'm not square, but I'm leaning my knee over my toe. If you guys see this, my knee goes over my toe like this. If he goes to snap here, same thing, I'm going to fall over. So 3 things we're looking for when we're pushing. Push with thumb blocks. Push with, your forearm, your elbow down when you have a collar tie. Push with an underhook in good head position. It's another great way to push. I can push with an underhook with great head position. So anytime you're pushing and trying to build up pressure for a snap down or for a leg attack, be cautious. And then that last thing I mentioned, push off the back leg. Don't push off the forward leg, and don't push square or you're going to get snapped down or attacked. The third key fundamental of a snap down is snap down with your entire body. Jason Knoll, for one of the Penn State guys, because they're very good at snapping, talks about flicking water off your hands. When you snap down, it's not a stiff motion. It's your whole body slamming them through the mat, similar to slamming a medicine ball on the floor or doing battle ropes, where you're really just using your whole body to whip them down to the mat. So when I go to snap, you got to use that whole body, your legs, your core, everything. We've built up pressure here. When I go to snap, I even come up a little bit, and then all my muscles, my entire core, my legs squat down and snap his hands to the mat, okay? So you really got to get used to doing your entire body. Boom, it's not just your arms. It's not just this. It's building pressure, and then when it's time to snap, it's boom, and pulling them through the mat all the way down into the basement below you. Okay, so the third fundamental, use your entire body. Imagine doing those battle ropes or medicine ball slams, all right? Now, the fourth thing I want to talk about is getting your opponent to square up. So it's harder to snap somebody when they have a heavy lead leg. The further their leg is forwards, the harder it is to snap down, because that forward leg is going to brace the impact of the snap. So if possible, if I can get my opponent to square up, all that means is get his legs to be even. It's a much easier snap, because I'm going to snap, we call it the tip of the triangle. So his feet, and then an imaginary point right here would be the third point of the triangle. And I'm going to try to snap his face right to that point. So if he's square, it's very hard to stop a snap down. So when I'm setting my snap down up with pressure and pulling, I'm trying to get him to pressure back with a square stance if possible, because that will make the snap down very easy. So as you're looking for these snap downs, see if you can get the person to square up. And that brings me to my fifth fundamental of a snap down, is using your fakes. So if my opponent does have a heavy lead leg, and I go to fake, the reason why the fake works so well is because it squares your opponent up. So when I go to fake, he squares up, and boom, I can snap him to the mat. So he's like this. When I fake, that foot comes back, and his feet become more square than they were before, and the snap down becomes much easier. And I'm going to show you guys later the different ways to snap people down. Underhooks doesn't really matter, but getting your stance real quick. If I, fake here and he squares up a little bit, the snap down becomes much easier. So use fakes before the snap downs to get their hands to the mat. You can even use, just a body fake. What I mean by that is, if I have this tie up here where collar tie, inside tie, and I don't want to drop my right hand to fake because I may want to use that to snap. Does that make sense? So I don't have to reach necessarily to fake like this. I could fake with my body. So all I do is I drop my shoulder underneath his eyesight so he kind of thinks the shot's going, and then I can snap with both hands. So instead of reaching with the fake, I can literally just drop. Boom. I can literally just drop like almost like I'm pulling like a duck under or something like that, and that will make him feel like a shot's coming. He might step back a little bit, and then I can pull him to the mat, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a step and reach with your fakes. And the main thing with faking is it's gotta make it feel like it's realistic. If it feels like it's realistic, if it feels like a shot is coming, then they're gonna react. If it doesn't feel like a shot's coming, then they won't react. So when you're trying to figure out your fakes, make them look exactly like you're gonna hit a leg attack or a shot so that they actually react to it. And I wanna talk a little bit more about these body fakes because that's actually my 5th and 6th fundamental is regular fakes and body fakes. You can even fake. Another great way to get your opponent to think you're shooting is getting your head close to a leg. So if I'm here, sometimes this isn't enough. Sometimes you gotta really get into these fakes so they really think you're shooting. Bring your whole body to it. Boom. And then the snap downs will come, okay? So that's 5 and 6. Use your fakes, not only just hand fakes, but body fakes. And then number 7 is when you snap, you pull your lead leg back. So I don't want to snap my opponent into my lead foot or they'll attack my leg. So if I shoot like this, he'll attack my leg. What I want to do is step my lead leg back and pull him underneath of me. So if I'm in my stance here and I'm going to go snap, I build the pressure up. Now I'm going to step my right leg back, and I normally try to snap my opponent right to where my foot used to be. So if my foot's here and I go to snap, I'm stepping it back and pulling his face right to where my foot used to be, right underneath me here, okay? So make sure when you're snapping, you're stepping that leg back. Especially nowadays, I've been seeing people shoot when their opponents snap them. So that's been happening more often, so you gotta be careful as you're snapping that they don't attack your legs. So all you gotta do is just make sure you step that leg back as you're snapping it down. Now we're gonna go into some detail of different tie-ups you can snap from, because whatever your favorite tie-up is, you can snap from there, and I'm gonna show you right now all the different variations you can go through. The first snap down we're gonna learn is from a collar tie and an arm drape. So my opponent, say, has an inside tie on me. I'm gonna get a collar tie and an arm drape where my hand's just draped over top of his inside tie. Now, when I'm here, when I snap with a collar tie, I like having my hand above his head. So when I push in, I actually have my hand up. The reason why I like this is because when I go to snap, it gives me some opportunity to accelerate into the snap down. If my hand's already on the head, you don't have that same acceleration. So when I push into him, I push with my forearm and my hand's actually raised above his head. So I'm pushing in like this, boom. And then when I go to snap, the hand drops to here and I step back. Now this opposite hand has to clear that tie. Remember, the only ties you don't really have to clear are if they have your elbow. So he has my elbow on this side, I don't have to worry about clearing this hand. But he doesn't have my elbow on this side, so I have to worry about clearing this. So how we clear these types of ties is we want to get his arm to be extended. So I might even push in a little bit to straighten his arm out. I'll show you guys what this looks like. I might kind of push into his armpit a little bit to get this arm straight. Then my hand's gonna slide down and I'm gonna snap as low as possible at his wrist, snap him off. I'll also dip my shoulder backwards. So if he has a grip here, as I snap, I'm gonna turn my body so that this grip really falls off, boom. So I'm square with him. If he has his grip, I'll turn so that he barely has it with his fingertips, and then my hand comes back and I chop at his wrist or hand. So I'm here, collar tie, arm drape, I'm building up pressure. Now when I go to snap, everything happens at once. Remember, it's your entire body. So both hands snap, this one drops to here, left one slides down and chops at the wrist. I step my lead leg back and pull him right to this spot here. Okay? Now, after I snap him down, I'll show you on this end, after the hand snaps, I'm getting to a tricep here. And normally when I snap the person down, I go for a go behind immediately. And we'll talk more about that later. So, show you guys this one more time. Super simple. I got a collar tie. Maybe he has an inside tie. I'm just gonna drape my hand over the top. I'm gonna push into his armpit to get this arm straight. It's easier to snap a straight arm. Then I'm going to bring this hand down while this hand slides down, snapping both at the same time as I step my lead leg back. So I build some pressure up, he pushes back in, down here, okay? And now I'm in a position where I can run to a score. Go ahead again.
Go again?
Yeah, not a repeat or anything like that.
Oh.
The next tie-up is exactly the same. It's just when my opponent has a collar tie. So everything can be the same. If we have, double collar ties here, this is all the same. So whether he has an inside tie or a collar tie, the snap is the same. I'm coming over top with an arm drape. I'm pushing into his neck or his armpit to get this arm extended. Then we're doing the exact same snap. So I'm here. I build up pressure. Now, the only difference if he has a collar tie is it's a little harder to snap off. So what I'll do is I'm gonna circle right as I do it. Because when I circle away from this arm, it slides off a little easier. So when they have a collar tie, sometimes it's hard to snap straight down through it. So I'll circle away from it, almost like I'm peeling it off to make the snap a little easier. So we're here, collar tie. I do my arm drape. Remember, this hand's got a little bit of space, so I can bring it down onto his neck. I build up pressure. I'm gonna circle right, snap with both hands, and step my lead leg back. So I circle right, snap with both hands, and drop to that same position. Another thing you'll notice is when I snap collar ties, I do dip my head a little bit, so my chin goes to my chest, so that the hand slips off the top of my head a little easier. So we'll circle this way, actually, make it a little easier. We got collar ties on each other. So I got my arm drape. I'm balling up in a fist. I normally like to push into his neck to get this arm straight and to get him to push back into me. Now, when I go to snap, I circle towards the right in this case. So I shuffle this way. I both hands snap, and I actually take my chin to my chest, boom, and bring my right leg back. Now I'm in a position to hustle for a score. One more time with this one, then we'll move on. So we're here, build some pressure. Normally I like to get forehead to forehead. I circle right, both hands snap, and I step my lead leg back. So I circle right, snap, right to here, hustle the corner. Now the next snap down, super easy, just from a collar tie and inside tie. If you ever get to this position on somebody, I think it's pretty dominant for snap downs. My opponent likes his elbow controls. Perfect. Now, the thing you have to be careful when they have elbow controls is pushing in, because they can open these elbows up and hit duck unders and high crotches. So make sure when you're pushing in, you really have this elbow down, okay? So you're building up pressure, maybe even have a thumb block on this side like we talked about. And then when you decide to snap, change the thumb block to inside tie. Just shift your hand just like this, so both hands can pull, and you can step your lead leg back and pull them underneath. And you're gonna see there's not much, some of these are gonna be a lot different, but a lot of them, the same 7 fundamentals that we talked about are gonna be involved. And with all of these, we can add fakes. I normally like keep my hand up here, but you could add a fake and then bring your right hand back to the collar tie in this case. The problem with releasing your hand, though, is sometimes it's too slow to fake, bring it back, and then snap. So, you can always body fake like we talked about earlier, too. I'm here. Maybe I switch to a thumb block so I can build some pressure up. He's pushing into me. And then I just drop here like a body fake, and then boom, hustle, okay? So that's snapping my opponent down with the collar tie. The next snap down is going to be from a Russian tie. So if you guys like Russian ties, a great time to snap my opponent down is if he starts going for my wrist. So if he starts attacking the wrist that has his wrist, I can circle in front and pull down with both hands to get him underneath of me. So I'm here, I circle in front, I pull him down, and I trap him with my elbows. I learned this from Dylan Palacio, and it works really well. So I circle in front, I'm gonna pull down and kind of jump on top of his head and pinch his head with my arms, okay? So I'm here, I circle in front, he grabs my wrist, I'm gonna pull down, boom, and then jump up and trap him with my elbows, okay? Then from here, you can change to different front headlocks and score from. Another way to snap from a front headlock, actually I'll show that one more time just from a different angle. I guess, actually, probably this one. So he grabs my wrist, we're here. I'm just gonna circle in front, snap, and catch him with my elbows. Then I can switch grips as needed and score. Now, another way to score from the Russian tie with a snap down is stepping on my opponent's foot. So if I'm here, a lot of times I'll be looking for a leg attack right here. So I'm circling for this leg. If he steps it back, I can put his hand to the mat and pull everything forwards. And I can also step on his foot as I do it. So if I want to, I could step on this foot, put his hand on the mat, and then release the hand that's on the shoulder to his waist, okay? It's another great way to snap down from the Russian tie. I'm building up pressure. Okay, I might want to fake to get his leg to step back. Boom, here. Put his hand on the mat directly in front of him. Boom. And then take the right hand, cover the waist, and get the 2 points. Again, you can step on their foot too. So I can come here, step, and I step away. I want to get this hand planted. So I built the pressure up. I step away, plant it, keep the left hand on the wrist while I cover the waist and get the 2 points. So that's a snap down from the Russian tie. The next snap down is from the underhook. I have an underhook on my opponent. It's all the same stuff. It just, you're grabbing differently, right? You're not on a collar tie, you're not an inside tie, you're on an underhook. I do like faking when I have underhooks so I can snap down from fakes. So I'll use my left hand to fake a single or a high crotch, and then I'll pull him down to this front headlock position. Boom. Okay, so it's a little different than pulling them straight to the mat sometimes. Sometimes you're just trying to get them into that front headlock position, just like with the Russian snap down. So I'm here, I might circle for a single, boom, and then just pull down on this shoulder and pull him right underneath of me, pull down. Normally with underhooks, circle this way. When I snap with an underhook, I want to take the underhook out. So as I'm snapping, I take the underhook out and go to the tricep, and I'll score from here. Another thing that I'll do with an underhook, if it's on the opposite side, is you can fake and come back to the collar tie. So I can fake here and then come back to the collar tie and snap underneath. But again, when I snap from an underhook, I want to not stay in the underhook position, because keeping the underhook position is very difficult to score from because they'll grab your elbow. When you're in a front headlock, the main defense is them controlling this arm. So if you have an underhook, as you snap, you want to snap your arm out, pull your arm out and get to a regular front headlock position, unless you're trying to do a DJ or a gator roll. So in most cases, if you're snapping from an underhook, you're pulling that arm out and coming to a regular front headlock position. Show you guys that one more time, and then I'll show you another little variation. So I'm here, underhook, I fake, snap. My legs are going back so I don't get shot on, and then I'm hustling for a corner on the person. Now, the next thing we're gonna go over is an over tie snap. This one is very effective. You see a lot of Penn State wrestlers doing this specific snap down. My opponent has a collar tie on me. I'm going to do an over tie. So I'm gonna take my right hand, go over the top, and grab his ear. I'm gonna pull his head to his bicep. The reason why I do that is because the over tie is a very vulnerable position, and if I'm resting here, it's very easy for them to hit attacks on me. So I wanna pin his head to his bicep so he's stuck in this position and it's more difficult to shoot. So grab the head, pin it to the bicep, and we're in this position just like this. Now, when I go to snap down, a very big important thing I do from this position is put my chin to my chest, because that will help his hand slide off my head. The other hand could be on an inside tie or a wrist, okay? I build the pressure up just like always, and I step my lead leg back just like always when I snap. But I'm gonna build the pressure, I'm gonna step back, chin to chest, and snap him down to the mat. Now from here we can score our attacks. Again, he has a collar tie, over tie, ear to head, pull it to his bicep. We can go kind of forehead to forehead position a little bit. I'm gonna grab an inside tie on his opposite side. My chin is gonna go to my chest as I snap down with my entire body and step my lead leg back. Now from here we can hustle with V blocks to the hamstring or snap him again and score. One more time just from a different angle just so you guys can see. He collar ties, over tie, ear to bicep, building pressure up. I'm gonna snap down, chin goes to chest, and step my lead leg back. Oh. And I can hustle, okay? Now, the next tie-up we're gonna go over is gonna be double inside tie-up, but these are all just different variations. They're all very, very similar. You build pressure up. Go back to the fundamentals. That's all that really matters. You know, if he has double elbow control and I have double inside, dude, this collar tie, these double inside ties are perfect opportunity to snap my opponent down when they have these elbow controls. When they have thumb blocks, it's much harder. Much harder to snap somebody down with a thumb block. So anytime you're wrestling somebody and they grab your elbows, think of snap downs, okay? So I'm here, I might push into them with some thumb blocks, and then once he starts pushing back into me, now I have a good opportunity to snap down. Hand switch from thumb blocks to inside ties, where all my fingers are scooping over top. I'm snapping him down to where my foot is, and I'm stepping my lead leg back here, okay? And my chest is covering his head just like this, okay? Opposite leg is up. I don't want to snap him down to both knees because I'm not as mobile there. I want to make sure I can move. So when I snap somebody down, I'm going to one knee or no knees, you know, so I can bounce around. I'm going to be in this position or even on both feet here, okay? One more time with that. So I go double inside tie. He's got elbow control. I'll push him with some thumb blocks so he doesn't shoot when I pressure in. When he pushes back, switch to inside tie, pull down and step my lead leg back. Now I'm in a position where I can hustle for hamstrings. Last tie up is if my opponent has double inside ties on me, I can do double arm drape, pretty much. And all I'm gonna do is snap. I'm gonna clear these ties as I go to snap. So I'll push in with my hands going into his armpit, build the pressure up. Then when I decide to snap, both hands slide back to the wrist. I step my lead leg back and I snap. Now, as you notice with that one, you don't have as much control of them. So sometimes you're just gonna clear their hands off. Other times, if they're pushing back really hard, you'll get them to fall to the floor. So that one, because I'm fully clearing off of him, see, fully clearing off, it may not fall all the way to the floor, but you can also just use it to clear the ties and get to your tie up and shoot. But if he does push in really hard and we're building this pressure up here and I go to snap here, the hands might hit the mat and I can hustle for scores. So that last snap down from the double arm drapes, sometimes you'll get a big reaction. Most times you're just gonna clear those hands off you and start working to your tie-ups, okay? Now, how do we score from these positions? There's a handful of different ways to score from a snap down. The number one way is a go behind, and it's my favorite way. This includes kind of anything with short offense. So if I snap my opponent to the floor, immediately I wanna hustle for his hamstring. When I do go behinds, I don't attack the waist like this, which most wrestlers do. I attack the hamstring. So I snap him down, immediately I start hustling for this hamstring and scoring the takedown. The longer you wait after you snap your opponent to the mat, the more difficult it is to score. So When I snap down, I hustle immediately. So I build the pressure up. When I snap, hustle. You should be already behind him before his hands even hit the mat. If you snap down and hang out in a front headlock position, so if I come here, I build pressure, I snap, and I hang out in a front headlock position, you definitely can score, and it's a great position to be in, but it slows the pace down. So I always like immediately trying to do a go behind, and then if they follow you, you might end up in a front headlock position. But use that, use the surprise of the snap down to your advantage to hustle for a score immediately. Don't wait, okay? I'll show that one more time. That's the first thing I'm looking for is quick go behinds. We can snap from any of these snaps. Maybe we both have collar ties. I build pressure. I'm circling away. I snap and hustle. Hustle for the hamstring. Do not grab the waist. Hustle for the hamstring. Circle behind. Once I straddle his leg, then I can release and come around the waist. Now, the next way you can score from snap downs, it's more, you can score if they pop back up and you can shoot a leg attack, okay? So if I snap my opponent to the mat and he rebounds quickly, I can look for leg attacks. So if I'm here and I snap, boom, and I kind of stay in there, I can look for that leg attack. Just make sure you kind of keep contact with him and stay close, because a lot of times when you snap somebody down, they're looking to back away and get space. So when you snap them down to the mat and you're looking for a leg attack, I'm going to snap him down and kind of stay on him here. And as he goes to pop back up, I'm right into my shot. All right, hips in, finish. Any leg attack you guys want to. So look for these leg attacks when you snap. So that's number 2. Build pressure up, right? I snap him to the mat. Boom. I'm dropping in right into my leg attack. Head and chest up. Finish the takedown. Now, another thing that will happen, it's very similar. It's if you use snap downs, you're going to get them tired. You're going to get their whole back muscle and their lower back super tired. So what will happen is if you do that for 3 periods, they'll start standing up taller. So it's more of a long game with snap downs, but you should be snapping your opponent down throughout the match, pulling on their head, pushing, pulling, snapping, so that they're super tired by the end of the match. And then they'll start standing up a little bit more. You've been snapping them the whole time, then they start standing up a little higher. And now you're in a position where you can shoot. All you need is for them to be, an inch higher than you, and you can just attack. So use that. Use snaps the whole time to wear on this guy, to boom, wear on him. 3rd period comes, he's a little bit higher, boom, hit your leg attack. That's the 3rd way. Now, there's 3 other bonus ways we can score from these snap downs I'm going to show you. One is a slide by. So we have these collar tie position like this. Okay. I'm building up pressure to do my snap down from double collar tie position. And if he stays on me, so I go to snap him down, boom, and he stays on me, I'm going to go to my slide by. And you'll watch, I'll switch lead legs. Remember we talked about when I snap the person down, I step my lead leg back. Now, if he doesn't fall over, it's a perfect opportunity to slide by because my left leg is forward. So I'm here, I build up pressure, I snap. Now he stands up a little bit because I release some pressure from the snap, and I step my left leg in. My left hand goes to his tricep, grabs underneath his tricep, and I go hip to hip as my head goes backwards, and I pull him like that, pull him right by. Hip to hip. Once I get here, I let go of that tricep and get the 2 points, okay? So definitely a tough move to learn, but I'm here building up pressure. I go to snap and step back. Boom, he steps up. My left leg steps in. I'm going to bring my head and chest back like this. My head and chest comes back. My left hand, move this out of the way. Left hand comes here. And I pull him over top of me as my hip goes to his hip. Then I cover the waist, get his hands touch the mat. Just like that. So one more time with the slide by. From a snap down, I'm here. I try to snap, slide by, and get my score. Next way to score from a snap down, a little bonus way, it's called a matador snap. I saw it recently on YouTube while I was researching for this topic for you guys. So I'm gonna have a collar tie on my opponent. You know, you can have a wrist or anything you want like this. My opponent's gonna have my elbow on this side. All right, now I'm gonna build pressure up and I'm gonna shuffle to the side of him. So I'm building some pressure up, I'm gonna shuffle to the side here, okay? So I'm here, I shuffle to the side. Now my elbow is gonna go down to the mat as I throw him by like this. I've heard it described as skipping a rock. You're skipping a rock across the mat. So I build the pressure up, all right, I circles hip to hip, kind of where I'm facing the camera now. Elbow goes to the mat as I literally just throw his head to the mat and cover for 2. It's definitely a feel move. I've personally never done it in a match, but I've seen wrestlers do it, and it's a great, fun move to learn, okay? I have a collar tie, my opponent has elbow tie. I build the pressure up, I shuffle, elbow goes to the mat as I pull down on this collar tie and skip him across the mat, and my left hand comes right to the waist as I cover for 2. One more time, I'm here, I build pressure up here, I'm just gonna go, boom, and cover on top. Last technique I'm gonna show you is a Russian wrist snap. All I'm gonna do is control my opponent's wrist, control the opposite of the lead leg, okay? So if he has his lead leg, which is his right leg forward, control the opposite wrist, okay? Now I'm gonna step my left leg forward and reach for his ankle. So I'm here, we're wrestling here, I'm gonna step and reach low for his ankle. I wanna get him to have a very big reaction. So I'm gonna get low here. Now after that, I'm gonna pull his right hand in a circular motion in front of me to the mat there, okay? So you need big reactions or this move won't work. I mean, you just have their wrist. You don't have much control over their body. So you need heavy reactions. So I have, you know, his right leg's forward. I'm gonna grab his opposite wrist. I'm gonna take a big step here and pull by, okay? And those last 2 moves, you know, these are very feel-based moves. Just like any move, you've gotta spend time doing it, feeling the exact pressure you need to hit the technique. Show you guys this one more time, then we'll wrap it up. Face this way. I'm here. I'm gonna step my left leg forward to match lead legs and reach for that ankle here. Then my hand's gonna pull down to the mat and forwards as I collect the 2 points. So that's all I got with the snap down. Feel free to comment below what you guys wanna see next, and I'll see you guys in the next video.